So over the past 12 months owning the vehicle and slowly restoring her back to her former glory, she's obviously come up over leaps and bounds in terms of performance and drivability. She has vastly improved, but I 100% know this engine is not at its full potential. She's not running as smooth as what I'd like it to be. When you start honing your skills within the diesel mechanics sort of industry, you understand how diesel should be running. They're obviously a little bit louder than a petrol engine in terms of how they run, but in terms of how they take over and physically run, there is a certain sort of tone, should I say, that you're looking for, and smoothness. You're looking for that quietness, and that is just not quite there. We do have blow-by in the engine. I'm not too sure how excessive it is. To me, it's pretty bad. I don't like blow-by. It's the warning signals that, hey, things are not going really well inside this engine. We got some work to do. So that's exactly what we're doing right now, is we're warming up the engine to do its baseline test of a compression test. So we're going to head back to the workshop, do a compression test, and now that's going to tell us a few different things, whether the cylinders are worn out and which ones are worn out, and if that's not the case, it may tell us that a valve is letting by. So there are various things that we need to be looking for on a compression test, but it's a really good benchmark to start off with to understand exactly what's going on inside your motor. So that's what we're doing, warming up the old girl, getting her back, get her into the workshop, get that compression test. So there's a few things we've got to do to enable us to carry out the compression test. I'll go through that as we go through the video. And then we'll take it from there step by step and understand and diagnose what the current symptoms are and why she's running the way she is. Right now she's pretty smooth. The engine runs really well. She's only got 185,000 miles on her. That doesn't seem like a lot. That's about 300,000 kilometers. But they tend to want to be kind of looked at those sort of stages, because I don't really know the back history of this truck. There has been a sheer lack of paperwork that came with the vehicle, so I don't know how often the vehicle was serviced. So I have to kind of go with my gut and say, look, this thing was used as a toy, and that is exactly that, and you treat it as that. So the truck's I would like a full rebuild done, and then we're back at a clean slate with a full rebuild. Everything, we know exactly how everything is working. Everything is back to where it should be, and that's kind of where I want to be. So just a little bit of an update. The air intake, as you can see, is basically covered in lots of oil, which is not very good, and it's very wet oil, and this obviously makes its way down towards the turbo eventually, and it's also lining up the vacuum tubes for the turbo, so it's a bit of a knock-on effect here. So good thing we're doing this. So taking this off to allow us access to all the glow plugs, then we can initiate our compression test. What we're going to do is isolate the fuel cutoff solenoid. Once that is done, it will basically stop all fuel from making its way to the injectors, allowing us to successfully do a compression test without firing up the motor. So we don't want to be firing up any of the cylinders while doing a compression test. All we want to check is that compression and see where we're at. So I'll have a notebook. I'll be recording the compression, the PSI and the ratings, and I'll be sharing that with you and see where we're at, and then we'll basically just keep motoring on from there, excuse the pun, and see what else is wrong with the motor. Okay, further update. We've just done the first cylinder, 400 and basically 60 psi, 460 psi, which is pretty healthy for the cylinder, which is good. That is good sign. I'm happy with that. Now we're just going to move on to every cylinder, and I'll share with you every cylinder what we're looking at as we go along. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 480 psi. That's cylinder 3. Haven't been able to do cylinder 2 just yet because of the hard fuel wire. So I'm going to get back to that. So I'm just going to go down there. We'll come back to cylinder 2. So cylinder 3, we're a-okay. Right, I've just done cylinder 4. It looks like we have found the problem. I suspect we have a cracked piston. So let's just do one more compression check on that cylinder, because that being that low is quite bad. Yeah, okay, so that's confirmed it. Definitely cylinder 4. I had a hunch that cylinder 4 was bad to start with, from looking at forums and watching problems as they appear up, on Facebook and social media. I've noticed it's always cylinder 4 that tends to give a problem. So I reckon, I've got a sneaky suspicion we have a cracked piston. That seems to be a common occurrence with these particular motors, because of a bad injector. So that causes cracked pistons. So this is probably why it's never been able to idle correctly from the word go. And I've just been hunting for that correct idle, and that lack of power is because of a cracked piston. So and that will obviously explain the amount of blow by we're getting as well, which is not good. So moving on. Right, cylinder 5. I haven't done anything just yet, so fingers crossed this one's okay. Oh, we're golden on that one. Holy shit. Excuse my language. 500 psi. We are on the money. Okay. Absolutely beautiful. 500 psi. Smashing. Okay. It's relatively simple to do this compression test, and this kit that I've got is quite simple to use. Just remove all the glow plugs, just move your little test port to each glow plug hole, and then just connect up your gauge, and then just cycle your engine a couple of times just to ensure that you get the correct reading, and then just go from there. So that's how simple this is. So one thing you'll find with these glow plugs on these engines, they don't point directly down, they point kind of towards the back. So just be careful you don't cross thread your threads. So 6 has always been a little cheeky bugger to get to. Yeah, so I've got her in the threads, which is good. Got it biting down. So just got to get in there with a decent little ratchet and spin it down. So righty, we're on to cylinder 6 now, and from what I've read and heard is that generally speaking cylinder 6 runs the hottest. So I'm not saying that it's going to be a problem, but generally speaking they do run the hottest. So they could also be potentially a problem, so we'll see. Wow, so no, we are golden on cylinder 6. Cylinder 6 is 500 psi, so we're well within spec, which is good. Okay, so 500 psi, between 460 and 500, that's the consistent one. So we still have to check number 2. We'll check 2, and I suspect 2 will be perfectly fine. It's just 4. Oh, I'm going to try and release this pressure. Okay, finally got on 2. I had to remove the hard injector piping to get to 2. Nonetheless, here we go. 2, slightly backwards. Sorry guys. So let's get this underway. Nice. Okay, very happy with that outcome. So again, we're looking at just under 500 psi, which is a very good, healthy outcome. So well within spec. So the only low ones that we had, so cylinder 1 was 460, cylinder 2 was about between 480 and 500, 480 psi. The rest are beautifully within spec. Okay, so it's just cylinder 4 that is a huge problem. So I highly suspect that there is a cracked piston. So the next thing we can check actually, just looking at the manual, is let's go back to cylinder 4. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to release this pressure off here. So we had this issue earlier where this tube wouldn't release the pressure, and I had to just there we go, give me a bloody fright. So what we're going to do is move the glow plug the test port back to cylinder 4, but before we insert it in there, I'm going to pour a little bit of oil down the glow plug hole, just to see if that lubricates the top of the cylinder and see if we have any pressure changes. So I recorded a pressure of 120 psi. Now 4, we're down here. Okay, cool, so I'll leave that ready to go. So we recorded 120 psi on cylinder 4 without any sort of oil additives or anything like that. So what we're going to do now is add the oil, see if that changes the compression. If that does, then we know it's a worn out bore, the rings are worn out, and then if it still doesn't change, it could possibly be a valve issue or a cracked piston. I'm pretty positive it's going to be a cracked piston. Pretty positive. So let's see. Okay, final check of cylinder 4. We've just put in oil into the top of the cylinder through the glow plug hole. Now let's hope it goes above 120 psi. If it doesn't, not a problem. Not much change there. So it's quite clear. So she's still stuck on 120, well, 100 psi. Bloody hell. So it's quite clear that we have a issue with that particular cylinder. So like I said, cracked. I put my money on a cracked piston with these type of symptoms, or we have a valve that is sticky, open, or the physical valve is not seating correctly. That's the only other things that, according to the manual, could be a problem. with low compression within that area. So the next stages are physically, I'm going to take all the injectors out now. I'm sending them away to Merlin Diesel. I'm not going to mess around with keeping these injectors in there. I want the new nozzles in. I want a fresh set of injectors, so I know these things are done. So the fueling system 100% is complete, from the pump to the filter, the primer, the injectors, the whole lot is all been renewed, which is good. That's the main thing a diesel engine needs, is fuel and compression. That's all it needs. So now we've got to work on that engine side of things. Once the injectors are out, I'm going to work during the week, basically split the head, get that up, and then we'll have a look inside and try and get to the top of that piston and to see what state that piston's in. Okay, so compression tests went pretty good. I'm happy with the outcome of most of the compression there. Everything, all 5 cylinders are all within spec with each other, so that is a massive tick in the box. Obviously cylinder number 4, we still don't know what's going on there until I lift the head. Once I do that, I'll be able to share that with you, what's exactly going on in the head. I mean 120 psi, and when it's supposed to be running at almost 500 psi, there's clearly a catastrophic issue somewhere. Either a valve is stuck open, or we have a cracked piston. And I can probably hand on heart say it's a cracked piston. I will be very surprised if it's not a cracked piston, for the symptoms and for what the truck's been doing over a long period of time. Just the oil bypass, just everything, just that the blow by, it just makes more sense being a cracked piston. So and I think I'm pretty lucky that we've stopped now and we haven't carried on going, because you know, God forbid you have a runaway diesel, especially a 1HDT, and you literally blow your truck up. Oh, I wouldn't know what to do, honestly. But I'm also glad that I'm doing this now, and no catastrophic failures will happen like on a dream holiday, you know, turning a holiday into an absolute nightmare. So so injectors are going to go up to Merlin Diesel tomorrow. I'm going to send them away, get them refurbed with the new nozzles. It's quite evident that all these O-rings are all dead. These the corrosion has gone beyond the O-rings and penetrated into the tops of the nozzles. Sorry, not the tips, but obviously these tops, the casings. So there's a lot of corrosion around there. So luckily it's not properly set in just yet, but we will see when it gets up to Merlin Diesel. They'll do the refurb. I have marked the injectors on what cylinder they came out of, so they can technically go back into the right cylinder. I've done that just to save myself any sort of headaches later down the line. Yeah, so totally happy with the outcome today. I basically achieved what I wanted to do today, is get the compression test done, understand what we're dealing with, and get the injectors out and sent off to Merlin Diesel. And then, like I said, I'll rip the head off and then we'll carry on with the rest of the strip down. So I want to get to the tops of those pistons. I really want to see what that, I'm sure you guys are quite interested in, is what is exactly going on with the motor. And then yeah, I'll be able to share it with you, and I look forward to doing the first start once we do the rebuild and everything is done and all the bearings are in and oils, and I really look forward to that. Really look forward to that. It's going to be a good day. And then we're going to have to go through obviously the break-in process. So I think for anybody out there who is considering doing this yourself, I think there's more than enough information and enough people out there who are willing to help, including myself. I am more than willing to help anybody out there that is going through the same process, who was interested into finding out more what I've done. More than happy to help. I hate seeing people stranded, and I'm always happy to, you know, get stuck in and help out where I can. Yeah, so I encourage you. So this is why I do these videos, to encourage you, that to show you you can do this. You don't have to send it to a shop and spend extortionate amounts on getting your engines rebuilt. And then at least when you do it yourself, you can trust you. If you can trust your own work, then you're good to go. So then at least you know exactly what you've done, and then you are held responsible and no one else. So yeah, I prefer it that way. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the content, and I'm trying to keep things up to date as possible as we go. Obviously this The engine story is a little bit of a fastball. It's been thrown at me really quick. I just decided, look, you know, I can't push this truck anymore. It's not fair, and if I'm going to risk a lot more damage, so I had to just call it a day, and you know, get its stuff out and just research, and just take it on the chin and get the truck fixed properly. And I think that will pay dividends. But in the meantime, so we've got engine still to do, what we'll be doing, and then we've got body work that we're going to be doing as well. So while all those things are concurrently happening, and then we've got the electrical system going on and stuff. So there's loads of things be happening, not just the engine stuff. So there's plenty of stuff to come. And including paint job. I'm going to try and sneak in a paint job somewhere. I have no idea how I'm going to do that, but we will see if we can pull that off. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. It's a little bit of a short one, but I just wanted to share with you exactly what I'm dealing with here, and then you can follow on the journey if you so wish. So if you have please, the guys who know about these 1HDTs have any suggestions, any ideas what I need to look out for, please let me know down below. And thank you for getting this far in the video, and hopefully you are enjoying the content, and I'll definitely see you in the next one.
If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.